Tonight, when the sun goes down, you're going to do something without thinking about it. You're going to reach for a lamp, or light a candle, or turn on the string lights above your couch. You won't question why the warm glow feels better than the cold blue light of an overhead bulb. It just does. But the real answer is far stranger than taste or decor. It's older than your house, older than your city, older than language itself. Your brain is responding to a signal it has been trained to crave for almost 2 million years. Somewhere between 1 and 2 million years ago, an early human ancestor sat next to a controlled flame for the first time. Not a wildfire, not a lightning strike burning through dry grass. A flame that was kept, tended, carried from one camp to the next. The anthropologist Richard Wrangham, who has spent decades studying the origins of human fire use, argues that this single shift changed almost everything about what it meant to be human. Cooked food, longer days, safer nights, and something else, something quieter, that most people never think about. A reason to sit still. Before fire, night was simply danger. Darkness meant predators. It meant cold. It meant isolation, because moving through unlit terrain was reckless. So your ancestors did the only sensible thing. They stopped moving. They gathered close. And they watched the one thing in their world that pushed the darkness back. Firelight doesn't just illuminate a space. It changes what people do inside that space. Researchers studying modern hunter-gatherer societies have noticed something remarkable about the hours after sunset. The anthropologist Polly Wiesner spent years recording daytime and nighttime conversations among the Jew Hansi people of the Kalahari. During the day, conversation was practical. Complaints, gossip, negotiation, conflict. But at night, around the fire, the tone shifted entirely. Stories took over. Myths, histories, jokes. The kind of talk that builds trust instead of resolving disputes. Why would the same people, talking to the same people, change so completely once the sun went down? Because firelight rewires the room, literally. A blue overhead light activates alertness. It says, work, scan, assess. Warm, low, flickering light does the opposite. It softens faces. It removes the sharp edges of a space. It says, you are safe enough to stop scanning the horizon. And when your ancestors stopped scanning the horizon, they had room in their minds for something new, for each other. This is where belonging enters the story, not as an abstract feeling, but as a biological event. For hundreds of thousands of years, sitting in a warm circle of light meant something very specific. You were inside the group's protection. You were not alone in the dark, exposed to whatever moved beyond the firelight's edge. Every night spent safely inside that glow was a small, repeated confirmation. You belong here. These people will keep watch while you sleep. Your body kept score of that safety long before your mind had words for it. The psychologist Christopher Lynn has studied what happens physiologically when people simply watch a fire burn. In his research, participants who watched a low, flickering flame showed measurable drops in blood pressure the longer they watched, especially when the fire crackled with sound. Not a bonfire roaring out of control, a contained, gentle burn. The kind your ancestors sat beside for 100,000 generations. Your nervous system didn't evolve to fear all fire. It evolved to relax around exactly this kind of fire. Small, warm, contained, shared. That relaxation response didn't disappear when humans moved indoors. It just changed shape. Think about the last time you walked into a room lit only by string lights or a single lamp in the corner. Your shoulders probably dropped slightly before you even noticed them tightening. Now think about walking into a room under harsh fluorescent panels. Different feeling entirely. Sharper, colder, more like a hallway than a home. You didn't learn to prefer warm light through fashion magazines or interior design trends. You inherited the preference. It was built into you by ancestors who survived specifically because they knew the difference between danger dark and safety glow. There's a reframe hiding inside all of this, and it's worth sitting with for a moment. You often think of belonging as something social, something built through shared experiences, inside jokes, long friendships. And it is. But before any of that, belonging was environmental. It was a temperature, a color, a flicker on a cave wall. Long before your ancestors had words for trust, they had firelight, and firelight did the work that words would later take over. This is why certain spaces still feel like home, even when they're unfamiliar. A candlelit dinner with strangers can feel warmer than a fluorescent-lit meeting with people you've known for years. The light is doing something your conscious mind isn't tracking. It's telling your ancient nervous system, you are inside the circle, not outside it. And here's the twist most people never consider. The light itself isn't really the point. The light is just the oldest, most reliable proxy your body has for something much bigger. The presence of others who are looking out for you. For nearly all of human history, light after dark meant people. Someone had to gather the wood. Someone had to keep the flame alive through the night. A fire didn't burn itself. So warm light became inseparable from the idea of protection, of company, of not being left to face the dark alone. Modern life has stripped some of that meaning away. You can flip a switch and get light without anyone tending anything. But your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a bulb and a flame. It only knows the color, the warmth, the flicker, and it responds the way it always has. Is it any surprise, then, that people describe certain homes, certain restaurants, certain rooms as cozy without being able to explain exactly why? They're responding to an ancient formula: low light, warm tone, close proximity to others, sound if there's a crackle or a low hum, enclosure, walls or a low ceiling instead of open, exposed space. Every one of those ingredients mimics the conditions your ancestors needed to survive the night. Cozy isn't a modern aesthetic invention. It's a 50,000-year-old survival checklist, dressed up as a Pinterest board. Consider how deliberately this gets recreated today, even by people who've never thought about evolution once in their lives. Restaurants dim their lights and add candles, not because bright light looks bad, but because dim, warm light makes people linger, talk more, and trust the experience more. Hotels use warm bulbs in lobbies and cold, efficient lighting in parking garages, and you feel the difference in your chest before you consciously register the design choice. Even phone apps now offer night mode, shifting screens toward warmer tones after dark, tapping into a preference wired in long before screens existed. None of this is coincidence. It's ancestry, expressed through interior design. There's something almost tender about that. Every time you light a candle at the end of a long day, you're doing something your ancestors did around a fire circle 100,000 years ago. You're marking the boundary between the dangerous dark and the protected glow. You're telling your own nervous system, without any words at all, you are safe here. You are not alone here. And your body believes you, because it's been trained to believe exactly this signal for longer than memory itself can reach. So tonight, when the sun goes down and you reach for that lamp without thinking, notice it. Notice the small, automatic decision to reject the dark and choose the glow. It isn't a preference. It's a memory older than your family, older than your language, older than your species' first cities. It's the memory of a circle of firelight, and everyone your ancestors loved, sitting safely inside it. And maybe that's the real reason warm light still feels like home. Not because it's soft or pretty or trendy, but because somewhere in the oldest part of your brain, warm light has always meant the same thing. You are not out there in the dark. You belong here, in the glow, with everyone who came before you, and everyone still gathered close.